Hello! Welcome to another book review. I'm your host, Kristen, and today I will be reviewing the YA fantasy book House of Night, Marked, by PC and Kristen Cast. In case you want to read this book, content warnings are blood, vomit, violence, sexual assault, ableism, racism, exotification, slurs, sexism, hazing, child death, transphobia, underage drinking, weed, and alcohol use. For this review, I will start with the overall plot, then world building, and finally the characters. Let's begin. The main premise of the novel is that 16-year-old Zoe Redbird, a newly marked vampire fledgling, must go to the House of Night in order to complete her transformation into a vampire. On the way there, she meets the vampire goddess Nyx and receives a blessing. Once at the House of Night, Zoe discovers she has an affinity for all 5 elements: air, water, fire, earth, and spirit. After a run-in with the local school bully, who happens to be the leader of the exclusive and elite Dark Daughters, Zoe and her new friends must take her down. Though the plot seems exciting on paper, it has a poor execution. The entire book rambled on, and it took over 5 chapters for Zoe to even make a hint of progressing the plot. Once the reader gets to the House of Night, the book almost goes into a complete standstill. The few interesting events, like circle casting, are dragged on or repeated for way too long, to the point where it becomes boring. Plus, the main antagonist of the book, Aphrodite, doesn't even pose a threat to the main cast or seem all that intimidating. In the end, Zoe taking her down is nothing more than good timing and pure luck. So far, the world building is pretty much all over the place. Although there were some elements I liked, such as classes taking place at night, circle casting, and the vampires having tattoos, most of the world was slapped together from different cultures. Having multiple influences to one's work isn't bad, but said influence also needs to mesh together well. Not to mention that this world has massive cultural appropriations, especially when it comes to Native American cultures. At one point, Zoe takes a prayer from Cherokee culture and modifies it to include Nyx. I wish I was making this up. In having an MC perform actions like that, this book helps erase and stereotype cultures that have already dealt and are still dealing with those issues to hell and back. It's extremely tone-deaf and disrespectful. Ah yes, the MC. Where to start? Well, Zoe is racist, ableist, sex-shames women, uses the R slur, and judges everyone except for herself. The opening scene has Zoe being mean to her best friend, mentally calling Kayla's conversations babbling, and notes how shallow Kayla is. At the House of Night, Zoe's attitude only worsens, with her exotifying the token black character Shawnee by comparing her skin to coffee. Zoe also doesn't hesitate to throw around the R slur and ableist language like it's nothing, and even thinks that another child dying is insignificant. Another awful detail is that Zoe believes that any woman participating in a sexual or romantic activity, even if it's just kissing, should be slut-shamed. When she receives her powers, Zoe immediately expects all of her friends to wait on her hand and foot, and lets them have very little say in choices unless it benefits her. Her powers are also explained through the fact that her Cherokee blood has powerful magic in it, which is a huge offensive stereotype. All of these character moments would at least make sense if the authors were going to make Zoe realize how awful she is, but no. Throughout the book and the other characters' reactions, this is clearly written to be seen as acceptable behavior. As a character, Zoe also doesn't have much agency, as she merely meanders around the school until Nyx gives her instructions and tells her what to do. Stevie Ray is Zoe's new roommate and one of the first people Zoe meets at House of Night. Stevie Ray is supposed to be funny, sweet, and caring, but she's not much better than Zoe, in that she also slut-shames and uses the R slur. Other than wanting to be a country music star and having an affinity for Earth, Stevie Ray is a pretty flat character, only there to encourage Zoe and listen to Zoe's problems. As for the rest of the cast, if Stevie Ray is one-dimensional, the other characters are almost non-existent. Shawnee and Aaron, also called the twins since they act alike, are just there to offer commentary on how much they like shopping and want to beat the main antagonist up. Shawnee is stereotyped to hell and back, being a personification of the angry black woman trope. The twins are also terrible in that they throw around the R slur and constantly misgender Damien for laughs. Damien is also a stereotype of a gay man, where he is constantly seen as having hobbies and activities that are more associated with women, such as stitching and being fashion savvy. This wouldn't be too bad if he was treated like an actual character who just happened to have those interests, and not placed there to display how woke the authors are. Instead, the first time meeting him, the group agrees that he doesn't count as a man because he's gay. For the supposed antagonist of this book, Aphrodite is really weak. From the moment she met Zoe, although the authors tried to make Aphrodite scary, their attempts fell flat due to poor dialogue. As the story progresses, Zoe never lets Aphrodite bully her, so it ends up looking rather pathetic. One scene does have Aphrodite and the rest of the Dark Daughters haze Zoe by tricking her, but that doesn't result in much either. Overall, I give this book 1 star. Though the premise was great, the execution was god-awful. I hope the casts will keep improving their craft and wish them the best of luck on their writing journey.